Eli Warren had lived his whole life under the metal sky of Astronine. The colony world was cold and dry, built inside a huge dome of silver glass to protect humans from the desert storms that raged outside. Every morning, Eli walked across the narrow steel bridges that connected the fusion towers. He was an engineer, one of the many who kept the city's power alive. His days were quiet, filled with the soft hum of machines and the glow of blue energy conduits. He liked simple things, the taste of recycled coffee, the sound of the generators, and the view of the endless desert through the dome's clear wall. He had few friends, mostly other engineers who joked about the same things. Eli's humor was light, the kind that made long shifts feel shorter. He never thought anyone important would notice him, especially not someone from the stars. One day, everything changed. The city guards announced that a delegation from the Crimson Court of Virel would visit Astronine. The Virel were not human. They were a proud, mysterious race from a faraway system. They looked like pale statues come to life, their skin smooth like marble, their eyes shining faintly like silver moons. People whispered that they lived by drinking the light of stars. Some humans called them vampires, though no one had ever seen them harm anyone. Still, their beauty and power made people uneasy. Eli didn't expect to meet them. But when their ship arrived, one of the energy regulators failed near Dock 3. The city council ordered the engineering crew to assist. Eli was chosen because he had worked on similar systems before. He put on his dark work uniform, checked his tools, followed the guards to the docking zone. The Virel ship was like nothing he had ever seen. It looked alive, breathing softly, as if the metal skin were made of living tissue. The lights that ran along its surface pulsed like a heartbeat. When the doors opened, a group of Virels stepped out, tall, graceful, and silent. Among them walked Princess Lyraya of Virel. Daughter of the Crimson Queen, she wore a silver-white robe that shimmered like starlight. Her hair floated lightly as though air itself obeyed her. Her eyes, a soft silver with a faint red glow, seemed to see through everything. Eli stopped for a moment, forgetting to breathe. He had never seen anyone like her. The team leader introduced the humans, and the Virel leader gave a slow nod. When they explained the malfunction, Princess Lyraya asked if she could watch the repair. "I wish to understand your kind's way of maintaining light," she said in a soft, calm voice. Her tone was polite but strange, as if every word carried centuries of meaning. Eli worked quietly under her gaze. He connected energy lines, replaced damaged coils, and adjusted power levels. She stood near him, her presence cool and calm like moonlight on metal. After a while, he grew nervous. He wanted to say something, but didn't know what. So, without thinking, he said, "You know, you're so dazzling, I'd marry you if I could." The words slipped out like a nervous joke. The human guards chuckled softly, but Lyraya did not smile. Instead, she tilted her head, her silver eyes studying him as if searching his soul. The silence stretched until Eli began to sweat. Then she spoke quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then you shall have me." Eli blinked, confused. "Oh, what?" he said quickly. No, I was just joking," but Lyra's eyes glowed faintly brighter. A strange pulse of energy spread through the air. The ship lights flickered once, twice, and then settled. Everyone froze. The Virel guards looked shocked. One even stepped forward as if to speak, but stopped. Lyraya lowered her gaze and whispered something in her language. Her attendants bowed. Eli felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest, a rhythm matching his heartbeat. He looked down and saw faint silver patterns glowing under his skin, like thin lines of light tracing his veins. "What's happening to me?" he asked, his voice shaking. Lyraya looked at him gently. "You spoke a vow before a princess of the Crimson Court," she said softly. "Among our kind, such words cannot be taken lightly. A bond has been formed." The human supervisor panicked. "We didn't mean it. It was a joke," he shouted. But the Virel leader said gravely, "To our people, words of desire are sacred. Once answered, they cannot be undone without harm." Hush. Eli stared at them all, speechless. His joke had somehow created a spiritual link between him and the alien princess. His chest kept glowing faintly, Lyria looked calm, almost serene, but her eyes were sad. "I will explain this to the council," she said quietly. "But you, human, must stay near me until the bond stabilizes." That night, Eli was taken to a guest chamber inside the Varel ship. The walls were soft and glowing, and the air smelled faintly of ozone and flowers. He couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard a faint echo in his head, not his own thoughts, but Lyria's voice, distant and calm. "You are frightened." He sat up quickly. "You're inside my head?" "Our minds are connected," she replied gently. "It will fade with time, unless the bond deepens." Eli rubbed his face. "Great. I make one dumb joke, and now I'm part alien." He heard a faint musical sound in his mind, laughter. "Perhaps you are lucky. Most of my people have forgotten how to laugh." Eli paused. "You mean you don't laugh?" "Not for many generations," she said. "Our kind has lived too long in silence. Joy is rare. It fades when eternity becomes routine." Her words carried a strange sadness. Eli didn't know what to say, so he just whispered, "I didn't mean to." "I know," she said softly. "But sometimes meaning hides inside chance." Days passed. The Council of Astronine called for meetings with the Virel envoys. They were not happy about the bonding incident. They worried it might cause diplomatic trouble. Scientists examined Eli and found his energy readings changed. His body produced faint waves of light. "He's glowing like a low-grade reactor," one joked nervously. Eli didn't feel sick, but he could sense strange things, vibrations in the air. The hum of power lines, even the faint pulse of stars above the dome. Lyria stayed near him, calm and distant. She told the council that the bond could not be undone safely. To break it is to tear apart living energy, she warned. The human officials were uneasy. "We cannot allow an alien princess to claim one of our citizens without consent," they said. Lyria replied. "He spoke consent before witnesses. In my world, that is truth." Eli stood awkwardly behind her, feeling like a man on trial. He whispered, "I didn't mean it. I was only joking." Lyria turned to him, her expression soft. "Your kind uses humor to hide fear, but your heart spoke honestly for a moment. It reached me." The words confused him, but something in her eyes stopped him from arguing. That evening, the council ordered them to stay under observation. But when the lights dimmed, Eli walked to the ship's observation deck. Lyria was there, looking out at the stars through a transparent wall. The glow of distant suns reflected off her silver hair. "You're really calm for someone tied to a stranger," Eli said quietly. She smiled faintly. "You are not a stranger. I see your thoughts. You worry too much about what others think," he sighed. "Well, it's kind of hard not to when you accidentally marry a space princess." Her eyes shimmered softly. "Among my kind, union is not ownership. It is sharing. If you wish, I can release you." Eli looked at her. Something about the way she said it, gentle but lonely, made him pause. "Would it hurt you?" She hesitated. "Yes, but I would do it if you wish." He shook his head. "No, not yet. Let's figure this out first." She tilted her head slightly. "You are kind. I'm just confused," he said honestly. That night, as he returned to his quarters, he saw his reflection in the mirror. His eyes had faint streaks of silver in them. He touched his chest. The faint glow still pulsed softly. Matching a rhythm, he realized, was not only his heartbeat, it was hers too. The next morning, a strange thing happened. As he stepped outside, the dome lights above flickered again, responding to his movement. The engineers gasped. "You're syncing with the city's energy grid," one said. "That's impossible." Eli could feel it energy flowing through his body like gentle electricity. It didn't hurt. It felt natural, like breathing. He looked at Lyria, who was standing nearby, watching quietly. "It seems our energies are learning from each other," she said softly. "You adapt faster than I expected." "Yeah, well, humans are stubborn," he said with a nervous grin. Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "Stubbornness can save worlds." The council grew more worried. They feared this bond could spread or cause imbalance. They demanded separation immediately. But Lyraya refused. "You cannot tear apart what is already one," she said firmly. Eli stood beside her, unsure why he suddenly felt protective. Maybe it was the link between them. Or maybe it was the quiet courage in her voice. When the meeting ended, she looked at him and said softly, "You are changing." He nodded. "So are you." She looked down as if realizing it too. Her silver glow had dimmed slightly, replaced by a faint warmth, almost like human blush. Later, as they sat together near the energy field, she told him stories of her world of endless star nights and floating citadels where no one laughed. No one cried, only lived in silence. "We are immortal, yet empty," she said. "Your people burn bright, though your lives are short." That brightness called to me. Eli listened, feeling something stir inside him. For the first time, he saw her not as an alien princess, but as someone lonely, trapped in perfection. He said quietly, "Maybe your people just forgot what living means. Maybe they need a joke once in a while." She gave him a small, genuine. The news of the strange bond between a human engineer and the alien princess spread fast across Astronane. Some called it a miracle, others a disaster. Reporters wanted to see the glowing human, and the city council demanded answers. But Eli did not care much about what people said anymore. Every morning when he woke up, he could feel Lyraya's quiet presence inside his mind, calm, warm, and steady like starlight. It was no longer strange, it was comforting. Yet something else was changing. The bond between them was growing stronger. When Eli touched the walls of the fusion tower, the lights followed his hand. Machines responded to his emotions. If he felt calm, the power flowed smooth and bright. If he felt fear, sparks danced through the air. The scientists were amazed, but also afraid. "He's merging with her energy," one whispered. "If this continues, he might stop being human." Lyraya disagreed. "He is not losing himself," she said softly. "He is learning balance. Our energy finds its reflection in him." Still, the council was not pleased. "We cannot risk the entire colony," they said. "If this connection destabilizes the power grid, we'll all be in danger." They ordered the Virel ship to leave Astronane, but the Crimson Court refused to depart without their princess. So a new command was issued. The bond would be separated, no matter the cost. When Eli heard this, his stomach tightened. He looked at Lyraya, who stood silent near the observation deck. "They'll try to break it," he said quietly. Her silver eyes met his. "They cannot. Not without tearing what has already become one." "Then we have to leave," he said quickly. "They'll force it if we stay." Lyraya nodded slowly. "There are old shelters outside the dome, places humans once built before the storms worsened. We can hide there for a while." At night, while the guards prepared for the separation process, Eli and Lyraya slipped through the maintenance tunnels. The lights flickered as they passed, as if recognizing them. Outside the dome, the desert wind roared like a living creature. The sky was black, filled with thousands of stars. For the first time, Eli saw them without the barrier of glass between. He breathed deeply. "It's cold," he said. Lyraya smiled faintly. "The cold reminds you that you're alive." They walked across the sands until they reached the ruins of an old human outpost, broken towers half buried under red dust. Inside one of the buildings, the air was still and quiet. The lights from Lyraya's body softly filled the dark room. She sat near a wall, her silver hair glowing faintly. "Why did you come with me?" Eli asked. "You could have gone home?" She looked at him, her eyes thoughtful. "Home is not a place. It is a presence that gives meaning. I have been searching for that my whole life." He sat beside her. "And you think you found it in me?" "I know I did," she said simply. He didn't answer. He just looked out at the stars. Something about her words warmed him from inside. Days passed. The storms outside grew stronger, but the shelter held. They fixed what they could, sealed doors, repaired generators, and used Lyraya's energy to power small heaters. Eli had never lived with someone so different, yet everything felt strangely easy. She moved quietly, spoke little, but every word mattered. Sometimes she asked questions about human life. "Why do your people dream?" she asked one night. He smiled. "Dreams give us hope. They remind us there's something more, and when hope fades," he looked at her, "then we make new dreams." Lyraya thought for a long time. "Your kind is strange," she said softly, "but beautiful." As the days turned into weeks, their bond deepened. Eli no longer heard her thoughts as words, but as emotions, soft waves that moved through him. When she was near, he felt peace. When she walked away, he missed her, as if a part of his own energy was missing. But peace did not last forever. The Council's scouts soon found traces of their energy outside the dome. Drones circled above the desert, scanning for life signs. One morning, Lyraya looked up and said quietly, "They are coming." Eli frowned. "We can't keep running forever." She nodded. "Then we must show them why this bond exists." "What do you mean?" "There is a truth my people forgot," she said. "That emotion and life are stronger than fear and control. You helped me remember that. Perhaps now they must see it too." Before he could reply, the wind outside roared. Ships from both humans and Virel descended, their lights cutting through the dust. Loudspeakers called his name, ordering surrender. Eli looked at Lyraya. "If they take you, they'll try to erase me from your link." She shook her head. "They will not succeed." As the ships landed, Lyraya placed her hand on his chest. Her touch was cold and bright. "Do you trust me, Eli Warren?" He nodded without hesitation. "Then hold on to my light." The air around them shimmered. Lyraya's glow intensified until the room was filled with silver fire. The walls vibrated, and the sand outside began to lift into the air. When the soldiers entered the ruins, they froze at the sight, a sphere of light surrounding the human. And the princess, their forms blending together like two stars colliding. Inside the light, Eli felt his body shift. Energy from Lyraya flowed through him like water through glass. His mind opened wider than it ever had before. He could feel the heartbeat of the planet, the hum of the stars, the pulse of the ships above. He understood now what she meant. Their bond wasn't a curse or mistake. It was harmony. Outside, the soldiers hesitated. "Wait," the human commander shouted. "Turn off the field." The sphere grew brighter, then suddenly burst outward in a silent wave. The ships trembled, but did not fall. Instead, everything around them stilled. The storm wind stopped. The air shimmered with soft silver light. When the glow faded, Eli stood with Lyraya in the open sand. The humans and Virel soldiers surrounded them, weapons lowered, but none dared move. Lyraya's appearance had changed. Her silver glow now carried faint golden warmth, a color that had never existed among her kind. She turned to the Virel envoy and said calmly, "You came to separate us. But look, this bond brings balance, not chaos. Our energies joined and calmed the storm. This is not danger. It is harmony." The Virel stared in awe. "Impossible," one whispered. "Warm light. From our princess." Lyraya smiled gently. "Not impossible. Only forgotten." The human commander looked at Eli. "Are you still human?" Eli looked down at his hands. They glowed faintly, but he felt his heartbeat, his breath, his thoughts, all still his own. "I think I'm just more awake," he said. For a moment, silence covered the desert. Then a scientist stepped forward from the human side. "The energy readings are stable," he said in disbelief. "They're not dangerous. The storm's gone." The council could no longer deny what they saw. From the growing energy storms that had threatened its systems for months, what they once feared now became hope. Over the next few weeks, humans and Virel began to study the energy balance created by Eli and Lyraya. Together, they built a small laboratory near the edge of the desert, a place where both races could meet without fear. The princess became a bridge between the stars and humanity. And Eli, the man who once fixed broken machines, now helped heal the silence between two worlds. But fame never changed him. He still liked his morning coffee, still wore his old engineer jacket, and still laughed at small things. Sometimes when people came to see the light-bonded pair, he joked, "Careful what you say around aliens. I take jokes seriously." Lyraya always smiled softly at that. She She had learned to smile often now. Her laughter was light and soft, something rare among the Virel. She began teaching her people about humor and warmth, while Eli taught humans about patience and quiet strength. One evening, after a long day of work at the new energy station, they stood outside watching the twin suns sink into the horizon. The sky glowed pink and silver. "Do you ever miss your old world?" Eli asked quietly. Lariah looked at the fading light. "No, my world is where understanding exists. That world is here now," he smiled. "You know, when I joked that day, I really didn't expect any of this." She looked at him, her eyes bright. "Neither did I. But the universe listens, even when we think it does not." They stood in silence for a while. Then Lariah turned to him. "Do you ever regret what happened?" Eli shook his head. "No. You taught me that sometimes the smallest words can change everything. And you taught me that laughter can save a heart," she said softly. Their hands met, light flowing between them. The glow that once scared people now filled the sky with beauty. Children in the colony pointed upward, calling it the bridge light. Years passed. Humans and Virel began sharing knowledge freely. Trade ships carried new technology, and laughter echoed in places where silence once ruled. The Crimson Queen herself visited Astronine and looked upon her daughter with pride. "You have given us something we forgot," she said to Lariah. "You have given us life with color." Lariah bowed and replied, "I only followed the light of one human heart." When the queen left, Eli teased gently, "So, the royal family approves of me now?" Lariah laughed, her eyes sparkling. "They do not have a choice." He smiled. "Good answer." As night fell, the stars appeared one by one, their glow reflecting on the silver sand. Eli lay on the soft dunes beside Lariah, both staring at the endless sky. The bond between them had become something steady and gentle, not just energy, but trust. "Do you still hear my thoughts?" he asked quietly. "Only when you think of me," she replied with a small smile. He chuckled. "Then you must hear me all the time."